Hello friends, and welcome back to another gardening video. In this video I am going to share with you how you can easily repot your orchids from a smaller to a larger container. What are the necessary steps that you should take during the monsoon season to make sure that your orchids do not get infected, and how to take care of the orchid leaves. What to do if your orchid leaves do get diseased, and which is the best orchid planter, along with a watering tip at the end of the video. This is my DIY potting mix. You can check the full video. It's listed in my garden video playlist. And these are my Dendrobium orchid saplings which I had planted in my DIY miniature planters. And now that the orchids had grown up nicely, so during the summer month, just before it was summer, I had actually repotted all these orchids when I had prepared my DIY mixture, and this is an extension of that video. Over there I had just shown you how to get your orchid potting mix at home, how you can create it, and over here I am going to show you the correct method of repotting your orchids and what necessary things you should keep in mind while repotting. So first of all, I am going to remove all these orchid saplings from the tiny container. And as I had shown you earlier, the orchids had been doing really well and the roots had grown really nicely. For that I had used my DIY humidity trays, that is also listed in the gardening video playlist if you want to watch that. This is my only orchid which has a purplish kind of stem, and this one has the thickest of the stems, and these are growing really nicely. So this one also I am going to remove from the DIY miniature container. And in this manner, first of all, I removed all the orchids from the container and checked out for any root rot or any other disease that might be there, but I didn't find anything much. Some of the roots which had become a little bit damaged, I had definitely removed them, but there were very few such roots. Most of the roots were doing really well because most of them were the new roots which had come out. As you can see, there are some aerial roots also, and the roots had grown really deep into the potting media, and most of my orchids had been giving out new roots and they were thriving really nicely. Before replanting, make sure to remove off any of the rotted root. Like this one is a dead root. If you press it, it is empty, so you know that it is not going to be viable. And you can easily differentiate between the good roots because this one, as you see, has a green tip, and when you press it, it is firm. That means it is a healthy root. And because I had got the name of my orchids along with the orchid when I had got it, and this one was a handwritten one, rest were all printed, so this one had just become damaged in the water. So I rewrote it and I stuck a piece of sellotape on it and I remade it. So now let us see the orchid planter. So this is the planter which I had got online from Kolkata Orchids, and this planter is an 8-inch one. This orchid planters should have a lot of ventilation, so this one has ventilation all around and also at the bottom, so I really liked it, so I got it. And I also got the chains because I wanted to hang them. So these hanging planters are best for orchids if you wish to hang them. Before repotting, I am going to place the name of the orchids in the planter because till now they have not yet bloomed, and I want to see whether I got the orchids that I had purchased or not. It's going to take another year for them to bloom. So in the bottom of the container, I added my DIY potting mix, and then I placed the orchid in the center. Then I added more potting mix all around, and in this manner I am going to fill up the container, and I am going to give this potting mix a gentle press down so that the orchid is firmly planted, but it should not be too roughly pressed that the roots would break. So gently give it a press that the orchids are planted nicely, and this is how you can easily repot your orchids. These are the aerial roots, so you must not put them inside the media. Leave the aerial roots as they are, and after planting them, give the orchid a good amount of spray of water. You can spray the water on the leaf also, and also make sure to spray the water adequately on the potting mix. So in this manner I repotted all my 5 orchids, and you can see how nicely they have been repotted and how happy they seem to be looking in these bigger planters. Now they have got much more media to grow their roots into, and they will be growing much more quickly. Also during the monsoon season, I have seen that the orchids grow a little bit quicker because the conditions are similar to the conditions of rainforest during the monsoons due to the high humidity. Now here's another tip to clean your orchid leaves, because we are not living in the rainforest, we are living in cities or towns, so there's a lot of pollution and the leaves get dirty. So add a few drops of lemon juice and you can see these white water marks and pollution marks. Just wipe them off using this solution. I have to do this once in 15-20 days because there is a lot of work going on all around, so the leaves become a lot dirty. So this really helps the leaf become healthy again. So you can see how nice the leaves are looking after I have wiped it down. And now coming to the diseases of the orchids during the rainy season, these kind of brown spots might be visible. So use a sterile scissor to trim off these brown spots. These are kind of like a viral infection. So it is better to remove it. If it's at the tip, just cut off the tip, and on the end of the leaf, remember to apply a little bit of turmeric or fungicide powder, whatever you have. And if the spots are in the corner like so, then you can just trim off the corner using a sterile blade, and of course apply a little bit of turmeric or fungicide powder. This is a must so that the leaves will not get further damaged or infected. And if it is in the center of a leaf and you do not wish to trim off the whole leaf, then you can also use this spot removal treatment using a blade, and then apply a little bit of turmeric or fungicide powder. Another thing that you need to remember is that if your orchid leaves, the top leaves are turning yellow, it means it is getting more sunlight. So shift them to a space where there is a little bit of diffuse sunlight. And now coming for garlic water as the pesticide and growth promoter. So these garlic cloves are really good for orchid plants. All you need are 1 to 2 garlic cloves. Peel off the garlic clove and cut them into smaller pieces, and add these pieces into a container having water. Leave this overnight, and if you are making this during the daytime, then make sure to keep it in an area where there is indirect sunlight or it is a little bit dark. And then in the morning, if you have kept it overnight, all you need to do is strain this mixture, and the liquid part we are going to use as a fertilizer and as a pest control solution. So strain it and pour it into your sprayer bottle. You can do 2 things with it. One is you can spray the whole plant with this garlic water as I have done, and another thing is that you can use this water in the potting media. So this water contains sulfur and it is also going to act like a growth promoter. It helps in increasing the amount of roots of the orchid. So in this manner you can use garlic water for healthy orchids, and you can see these new orchid branches are coming out, new buds have formed. So this definitely helps in the growth of the orchid. Now coming to my final watering tip, even if it is the rainy season, remember to deep soak the potting mix once in about 15 to 20 days or once in about 10 days depending upon the weather condition. If the potting mix becomes too dry, then the orchid will not grow nicely. So dip it in a container having water for 15 minutes at least, and then you can touch the potting mix and you will see that it would have absorbed the water. And once you pull it out from that container, the orchid planter would have become a little bit heavy. So that means the potting mix has taken up adequate water and it will just give off the excess water. Then you can hang these planters wherever you wish to hang them. Like over here I have hung them in my apartment balcony. So this tip is really important if you want to grow your orchids really well. Remember to deep water them once in 15 to 20 days. So these are all the tips I have for you for this monsoon. I hope you found this video useful and I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for watching.